Why do you say that, Father? You aren't afraid, are you?
No, but I respect some of the superstitions of others. Often they are founded in fact.
This is Cryptid Connection. Hey everybody, tonight's show is in preparation for the Texas Bigfoot Conference next weekend. We've got two of our core members of Cryptid Connection, Logan Craft and Shelly Montana, who are presenting or speaking in one form or another at the conference this year. And as such, we're having them both on, and we're going to be visiting and talking to them just about what they've been up to, what's going on in the Sasquatch community in general, and just some various other things. There's a lot of stuff we actually can't say on the air right now. It's got to be waiting until the conference. With that being said, join us, sit back. This is going to be a decent show. It's about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and you're going to get some frank discussion. We'll probably get some egg thrown at us again, but hey, if you're not upsetting people, you're not selling the truth. Y'all sit back, enjoy it. Holler at us if you need. Again, come check us out on Facebook, Cryptid Connection fan page, or you can go to the website and you can check us out there, cryptidconnection.com. Hey, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just us and us four. Me, Jen, Logan, and you.
Oh, awesome.
Well,
I was just going to say, I'm part of a group of prospectors for gold, and I follow this guy that does reviews on pay dirt, and the majority of people that follow him are prospectors that make a living, or not a living, but a supplemental income through selling pay dirt from their claims. And
right.
They guarantee so much gold. And so I follow this guy because I buy pay dirt to help me, finesse my painting skills here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I've followed him for a long time. But anyway, they all know that he probably has 2,000 members, I guess. But he does these live chats every week. And they found out it was my birthday. And he has a thing where he gives away the gold that he pans out from all these prospectors. And so one of the prospectors was like, I'm going to give you the gold if I win. And he didn't win, but he said, but we're going to send you a nugget from our claim for your birthday, which was really cool. And anyway, they know I'm a Bigfooter. And so I'm getting all these emails of these encounters. They're like, what's your email address? I've had 3 encounters, blah, blah, blah. So I was just talking to the guy that's sending me the nugget, who said, I've had 3 encounters and I had to pull a gun and I thought I was going to die. And I'm like, dude, I want to talk to you so bad, but I've got to go talk on this podcast real quick. And I'll call you tomorrow. So anyway, sorry.
Well, damn it. We don't mean to keep you from something actually interesting and important.
Yeah, but it'll be there when I get back, So, no, it's really cool and exciting that they were, because I was kind of like, well, the guy that runs the show, he's always he always says, Shelly's a Bigfooter, go check her out, and my YouTube channel doesn't have anything on it. And I was like, okay, here's my email address and here's my Facebook page. And so if y'all have any wildlife experiences or Bigfoot experiences, just contact me. And so it'll be there when I get back. But I thought it was pretty exciting because I think prospectors have tons more to talk about than Bigfooters do. You know what I mean? Like, real wildlife experiences, including Bigfoot.
Yep.
Anyway, I'll shut up and let you talk.
Well, the whole point wasn't for me to talk. It was for everyone else to talk, too.
Well, right. I know, but
This is kind of a spur-of-the-moment idea that we had. Just kind of a get-together, talk about things that have been going on. What have we been up to, that kind of a thing. And anything and everything that's kind of bugging us or we've noticed, anything of note, just like your prospectors. That's perfectly valid. It's of note. It's a lead that shows how your research is going and where you're getting material from. And so that's a perfectly valid thing. Logan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You're being awfully quiet.
I am in a state of zen right now.
Are you focusing on Patrick Swayze?
I am focusing on Patrick Swayze and how Patrick Swayze explains all Bigfoot cloaking stories.
Shelly, did you hear about his theory?
No.
You got to hear this. It's kind of funny.
Now, Shelly.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the 2001 hit movie Ghost featuring Patrick Swayze?
Of course.
Now, when people say they see Bigfoot cloaking, what is the first thing you think of?
You shouldn't ask me that.
Well, let me tell you what the first thing you should think of is. The 2001 hit classic Ghost with Patrick Swayze features Patrick Swayze as a ghost. Now, in definition, cloaking is the act of fading out of either reality or the visible spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Patrick Swayze as a ghost can fade in and out of visibility, and Bigfoot can fade in and out of reality, who is to say that the cloaking Bigfoot is not in fact just Patrick Swayze coming to say hello?
I love this logic.
Every time somebody says that they see Bigfoot cloaking, it's actually Patrick Swayze popping in to say hello and having to leave. But what I found out through multiple years of research, at least 52 years of my life have been dedicated to finding out that everybody's been doing it wrong. The problem is people are doing whoops and they're doing howls and they're playing all this audio that has absolutely nothing to do with Patrick Swayze. If you want a cloaking Bigfoot encounter, go and play the soundtrack to Dirty Dancing. Another 2001 hit classic movie featuring Patrick Swayze.
Wait, no, come on now. I mean, we got to talk about the Predator. That's where the word cloaking became so popular,
she's got you.
Right?
You got to work.
Well,
you got to work Arnold into this too.
You should be hearing a true cloaking is a predator activity, which is basically him hiding to catch his prey, right? So he can rip your spine out of your body with
now,
your head.
right? I have a counter argument.
But you should be hearing the little clicking chatter, right? Like the, right?
Well, that's different. Now, here's what I'm getting at. You do hear the little that little noise, whatever chipmunk noise you just made, okay?
Right.
Now,
yeah.
Have you ever seen the 2001 hit movie Roadhouse featuring Patrick Swayze?
Yes, I have.
That little chattering noise is Patrick Swayze getting ready to beat you to death. Therefore,
but that's made by a musical instrument. That is not the cloaking predators.
That is Patrick Swayze tapping his foot on the floor, getting ready to roundhouse kick you.
Wait a minute. I want to know. If we're now talking about Roadhouse, I want to know where Sam Elliott factors into all of this.
Sam Elliott is actually the explanation for all albino Sasquatch. I'm telling you, my life has been dedicated to finding the link between Patrick Swayze and Bigfoot. You cannot stop me now.
Now you need to find the link between Patrick Swayze and Predator.
Yes.
They both have the same lips.
Predator does not have lips.
That's the point. Now, as a certified cryptid enthusiast, I will tell you how to have a guaranteed encounter. If you would like to have an aggressive encounter, you play the soundtrack to Roadhouse. If you want to have a really, really romantic encounter, you play the soundtrack to Dirty Dancing.
Stop. That is
my goodness.
No.
Okay. Anyway.
Oh my God.
All right, everybody. Yeah, that's Logan. Anyway, we all love him. Well, let's start off with this. There's, in general, and we've noticed it really peaking, it seems like, since COVID has started. Less people are getting in the woods, and so they're getting online more, and their claims are becoming a little bit more, how do we say, questionable.
Fantastical.
Very fantastical. I'm going to credit Logan for the first example, and that's the shrubbery.
Bring me a shrubbery.
Logan, well, Shelly, do you know the post that we're talking about? Did you see the joke that he posted?
Yeah, I think
so. Okay, all right. Someone had literally put up a post in a group that it looked like a shrub on a fence, just a growth, and it admittedly it did have kind of a torso shape. And if you didn't know the dimensions of what it was on and what it was surrounded around by experience, you might actually at first glance think it was something, but it was a shrub. Mm-hmm. Somebody actually legitimately, it appeared, legitimately posted that up saying, hey, do I actually have something here doing this? I find that disturbing.
It comes and goes. It has for years. I mean, people get, I don't know if they get bored or if they truly believe it, but it's nothing new in what I've seen. I mean, it's a constant. I think it's the majority.
You don't think it's
to be honest with you?
Well, it is, but you don't think it's gotten more of a, you see, to me, I feel like there's been an uptick. That recently it seems like because everything has a natural ebb and flow, and right now I just feel like we're heading towards a peak, and I really don't understand what people are trying to say.
I think if you documented those kind of encounters throughout the years, I think you would see a true pattern, because it's just commonplace to me. I mean, now what I will say is, let's say 2015, I was probably in 100 groups, whereas today I'm in, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 Bigfoot groups.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as often as everybody else is seeing it anymore. But to me, that's more the norm. You know, the pareidolia, you know, with sightings and pictures and audio. I think the majority of it is just people in their wishful thinking. And I hate, you know, I'm not trying to be a jerk or any of that, but I don't see people really going the extra step to try to prove it's not what they say it is, you know, and or they're asking, and because they're so accustomed to it nowadays, you know. I mean, if you go back 50 years, I don't think anybody would look at a picture like that and say, hey, that's a possible Bigfoot you got there. You know, 50 years ago, nobody would have said that.
Yeah.
But it's become extremely commonplace in my experience.
And that's, you gotta look at it like this too. There are a lot more Bigfoot groups popping up. So with that comes people that don't know what they're looking for. You're getting people that have never even been out of in the woods at all, saying that they are now Bigfoot hunters. And you have a community that a majority of these groups do not want to offend anybody in the group by possibly telling them, no, that's just a bush. They want everybody to have an encounter. They want everybody to feel special instead of educating them on how to actually look at a picture. And that's that's like, there is the Footstock YouTube video that we did for LVE. There's a comment on that video where a lady says at 14 seconds in, she sees movement and hears a growl. Well, me and you both know that was me standing behind that tree. Yet that was enough for her to go, hey, y'all actually caught a Bigfoot on video.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's I mean, you know, social media has basically shamed us for questioning anything. You know, we're supposed to believe everything. That's how I feel about it. I mean, I look at social media and anything that's on it as 99% BS, not to upset anybody, but, you know, are you going to, I mean, I raise my children in a world where that everybody gets a trophy kind of thing, and I wouldn't allow that for my kids. So to me, that's what today's social media does to the world is, you know, we're ridiculed and bashed if we don't go with the flow. So yeah, everybody's got a Bigfoot.
Everybody's got to be exceptional. They have to have their 15 minutes. They have to be special. It's almost like they're not special in real life or in the physical life, I guess I should say. And so online, in the social media, they get to be the superhero that they always think, you know, they should be secretly. That's probably a horrible way of putting it, but it's the truth. And I think
it's all about acceptance.
You think it's all about acceptance?
Oh yes, because people want to be accepted, and so if they see a Bigfoot just like everybody else, they're accepted.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the problem
Tim is exactly correct.
Nobody in these other groups is stepping in to say, look, that's a bush. They will sit there and agree with them on, oh yeah, that's Bigfoot. And I always go back to my example of I went out in my backyard one night and just took a picture of a bush in my backyard and had people telling me that I caught eyeshine.
I've done the same thing and posted it as a joke. This was probably 2014. I don't remember. It was years ago. And I just posted I made Dawn stop on the side of the road in a state park, and I just took a picture of a bush, posted it on my Facebook page, and said, "Okay, go." And people were crazy about the red circles, and there's one, and when it was only that spot, which I bet, Logan, the spot I took the picture of was only maybe 5 or 6 feet from me, but everybody was seeing Bigfoot. It was crazy. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I get
No, you're right. They want to be part of the crowd.
Yeah.
Steven actually did an experiment like that with his own foot.
I did. Oh my goodness. It wasn't quite the identical thing, but it was just a plaster cast of my own footprint. And I had who I thought were seasoned researchers coming back and telling me how that was an awesome find. And, you know, they started pointing out the fact that I have a mid-tarsal break and everything in my foot. And I was like, that's my left foot. I mean, come on, guys. I just, I wasn't even intending actually that to happen. I had been out practicing making casts.
Well, everybody wants to be an expert. That's what you're looking at. Everybody wants to be accepted, and everybody wants to be an expert.
That's right.
They want to share what they think, and what they think is law.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a sense of eagerness to have Bigfoot in everything. And when I say that, I mean, like Stephen was saying, he had seasoned experts that were saying that's a great find and it's a cast of his foot. They are so ready to be able to say, look, we helped figure out what Bigfoot is. We helped prove Bigfoot, that they don't realize that as a real researcher, they need to sit down, scrutinize every little thing about it before they themselves come up with a judgment call.
Exactly.
Well, let me ask you this. When those things happen and you're in a group, especially like in Texas or let's say the Washington people or certain states, how many of those people do you think, Stephen, let's take your account, what you did. You posted a picture of your foot cast, right?
Yep.
How many of those people actually knew you and came upon the idea? Hardly none. There you go.
Well, let me clarify. The most egregious person, actually, we had never met, but we had known each other online for a while. We had communicated. Mm-hmm. We had even spoken on the phone. And so, and I guess that's to me why it was the most egregious, because it really surprised me, and I was quick to correct and say, wait a minute, whoa, you're misunderstanding why I posted up this photo. I was like, because I wasn't trying to set a trap, or I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just really like, hey man, I cast these today, and I was being stupid. I didn't think about saying, oh, these aren't Squatch prints. I was just, these are the casts I did, my practice casts. And everything.
Actually, backstory, we were practicing for the youth group that we work with. Yeah. We were practicing for the youth group we work with to see how the casting material went. And that's what he was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the result.
And it just, it didn't even occur to me because I knew it was a human foot. And so, I was just like, hey man, this is an awesome cast. Look what I did.
At the end of the day, though, the problem is you should never treat anybody differently, whether you know them or not.
That's right.
You should.
You should question everything. We don't know that it was you that made that cast, right?
That's right.
We don't know that it was somebody else that was hoaxing a cast or just walking through the forest barefooted, and it happens all the time. There's a whole community of people that do that on purpose. Not because of us, but because they want to feel the energy from the earth, let's say. But the problem is, for me, this is how I look at it. I try to treat everybody the same. Whether you're my friend or you're not, I'm going to ask you the same questions and consider whatever you're putting forward as, quote, not Bigfoot evidence in the first thought. I need to make that last. That's the last thing I could come to. And I think people are so trusting of each other, and especially our friends, if Stephen put it up, it's got to be real, because I think Stephen went through all the motions. Well, Stephen, did you really go through the motions?
Oh, but Shelly, you don't want to butt hurt anybody. You don't want to offend anybody. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I think that's also the reason why a lot of people don't say anything against the idea. They don't, and honestly, like me, I don't want to say anything against you because I really don't have time to sit there and argue with anybody. Because I'm not going to change your mind if you thought that was something that was a Bigfoot track. I'm not going to, or a cougar track or a bear track. If you go in the woods, this is a proven fact. If you go into the woods with the idea that these specific species live in this area, when you find an impression that could possibly be an actual track of that species, that is what you're going to. And that's the problem where we have to deal with in the tracking world, is where I have to step back from the actual impression and then sit down and look at the facts of what would make that impression and why, and try to discount everything else that could possibly be. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. Don't mean to.
No, it's not a tangent at all. It makes perfect sense to what we're talking about.
I think your mindset is what is our biggest issue, our mindset.
How many people do you see that go out every single, at minimum, weekend, or they spend their entire time in the woods, but every time they go out, they find at least one piece of evidence?
Oh, absolutely. There's thousands. Almost everybody that mentions or posts on social media with Bigfoot, quote, evidence or encounters is those people.
Exactly.
Yeah, people like me who go out, right now I'm not going out a lot, but on a norm, I spend thousands of hours in the woods. But you never see me posting about, this is what I found a Bigfoot, or found Bigfoot.
And why that is because you never post about anything like glyphs. You never post about tree structures. You never do anything like that. Because when you go out in the woods and you don't find a print, when you don't get a blob squatch picture, what are you going to come home with? You don't want to come home empty-handed. So, I looked over there and there are 2 sticks that fell out of a tree and an X, but that X is some kind of ancient Sumerian language telling Bigfoots that this is the crossroads between where our trails can go.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you're not going home empty-handed. I found a glyph because Bigfoot, for some reason, knows an ancient language now.
Right.
And the only way Bigfoot would really know any language is if it was Patrick Swayze.
I must say, for the record, I don't feel like I say this enough. Logan, you actually are a grounded, level-headed researcher. You just have a hell of a good sense of humor. And a very big sense of humor.
It's very lacking in this community.
The community cannot handle your humor, I'll be honest.
That's why I get yelled at a lot. But you know what I do? I just start playing the soundtrack to Dirty Dancing, and I dance until they realize they're not going to get to me.
But that's the thing, though, is some people can have that sense of humor and spread it around, and everybody laughs, and it's great, and everybody takes it as what it is. And then there's some people who can't do that, who just want to have a good time. And once in a while, when they throw that out there, everybody gets butthurt, like, Jim was saying. I mean, and I don't like trying to pound that female and I don't consider myself a researcher. Let's put that on the board, because I don't have the I think that's taking away from people that actually have spent many years in the education system studying science. I do a lot of citizen science, but I consider myself a enthusiast, I guess.
I'm a scientist.
I'm trying to mimic the idea of research the best I can, but I don't consider myself qualified. But there, women in general, and I hate saying this because I never thought this, and I forget I'm even a girl. And Jen, you might be able to even say this, but if I were to do what Logan does with my humor, and I've tried it, and I get, people freak out on me. And I'm like, whoa, I was just making a comment and trying to be funny.
I agree. They look at you awkwardly like, why would you say that?
Right. And I don't, and it really bugs me that I even am mentioning it, because I don't look at myself like male or female or whatever. It doesn't really, because my husband doesn't treat me that way. My friends don't treat me that way. They just treat me as a human being that's trying to do what's right. I'm really focused on facts. And I think many females try to do that, not all of them. A lot of them are emotionally focused. I'm not. Not when it comes to Bigfoot. I don't really give a crap about the emotions behind it. I think that's your biggest enemy. And I think people try to plant emotional based research on females, and so if we say something odd or funny or outside the norm of true scientific research, we're looked upon as, oh, she's just a silly female.
Now, Shelly, you realize it doesn't matter, because you'll get looked at the same exact way no matter what you do. That is the harsh truth of how this community operates. And it's a shame that I even have to say it, because for me to say this on behalf of the women is already bad, because I'm having to talk for them. But this is a community full of men who believe only men belong in the woods, and they don't want to hear a woman explain to them something that they can explain by just, mansplaining. I was going to say another thing, but we're trying to keep this PG, so I can't say it. But
right.
This community has a harsh reputation on not respecting women. And when I say not respecting women, what I mean is, until a woman tries to prove or show evidence that goes over somebody's head, they're okay with you. But once you do that, you're just a woman. What do you know?
Yeah. You mean all we're supposed to do is just cook food at the campfire and stay in camp? Because, the big scary animals might get us.
And that's the sad part. That is the common mindset of, I'm not going to say all. You cannot say all men. But a large majority of the community are like that. That's the same way, and I know this because of experience in this community. It's not just women. Women, when it comes down to women, that is the side of the negative side of this community that you see the most, is the treatment of women researchers, or whatever you want to call them. I like the term, occupational camper or hiker, because all you're doing, unless you know exactly what you're doing and you have the equipment, all you're doing is going out there and camping. All you're doing is going out there and hiking. But what I'm getting at is women, people, they judge you based on your, not so much race. At least in my case, I have yet to see anybody really be judged by race, but sexual orientation or religion. They will run you into the ground. And that might just be in the southern communities, in this part. I don't know about Washington, but.
No, I've had many men try to, I say many. I've had men, I'm in the woods and all of a sudden I meet, a new guy and they're trying to tell me what I need to be doing. And I just look at them like, are you kidding me? I've been out here for 2 months. And my husband's not here, so I think I'm doing okay. I try to be nice, but there has been a time or two where I've had to say, step back and let me do my job on what I'm doing, because you're at my campsite first and foremost, and I've already been here for a while, so I'm doing okay, So, and they all freak out when I pull the chainsaw out, and.
Yeah,
to go get wood.
Now, if you want to hear me start a little fight right now, one of the best examples I have of this, which is a very mundane example of it, is from none other than Stephen James. Keeping Jennifer in the middle of the line. Stephen, I understand your reasoning behind keeping Jennifer in the middle of the line. But if your dear wife wants to get in the front or back of the line and be taken away into the night by Patrick Swayze, why would you not let her? Let her have some dirty dancing.
I don't have enough insurance on her. She ain't worth enough.
I'm only worth $20,000, whereas he's worth $500,000. So
Stephen,
what?
Do you know how much I could do with $20,000?
You're right. Bigfoot can take. I'm sorry. Patrick Swayze can take her, and I'm gonna go to Vegas for a weekend.
See, there you go. But that is if we're going back to being serious for a second, that is a very mundane example of the mindset of how men work. Because in our minds, men are protectors of women.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore,
and they are.
Therefore, Stephen's idea is I keep my wife in the middle of the line so I and whoever else is with us can keep an eye on her and keep her safe.
And we appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
I love men. I think they're completely different from us girls. And
I think they're icky.
Well, but I appreciate men, and I know Jen does too. And because our traits are different. But what do you think about women who, like me, I don't want to be in the front. I want to be in the very back. But if I want to be in the back?
I prefer the back myself.
I'm always in the back. We have a fight there.
I don't like anybody pushing me through the line. I want to be in the back and take my time. And I've had a man tell me, no.
I'll hold on. I'm stepping all over the conversation here for a second. I don't care who's in the back. And I don't care who's in the front. What I do like is everybody somewhat being associated together. I don't like what started out as 20 feet per person becoming 100.
That's
200.
true.
I don't like
that.
I do not like a group in the middle of the woods fragmenting, and then all of a sudden you don't know where the head went or the trail went or something like that. And now it's especially true at night. But we have, right. I think we have all, did we all?
No.
What?
Logan wasn't there at our first, well, no, I'm saying the first hike. Yeah, Logan was there. Logan was with us, wasn't he? The very first time we went to band camp.
Yeah.
And we did that trail. Logan was there.
Oh, yeah.
Weren't you, Logan?
He was. He was in the front.
Yeah, because after that trip, I was no longer allowed in the front because I didn't wait on anybody. I kept going. Because
I know. That was the thing. We let you off your collar, and we learned what a mistake that was. Okay, all right.
That's why I stay in the back.
See, everyone should let me go, because I'm a slow. You should let me lead, because I'm slow.
You should have a plan. In the back person, so for me and Dawn, especially Dawn wants to hang back 50 yards on the trail because he wants to see if anything comes out. And that's usually how I work with the guys that I work with in Washington is they want to see if anything comes out after a group of people are walking the trail.
Yes.
But personally, I don't want to be trudging through the forest at 5 miles an hour. I want to take my time and be quiet. I'm not trying to lag back real far. I want to keep you in sight. But I've had men say, "No, Shelly, you can't be in the back. We don't feel safe with you being." I'm like, why?
Well,
I've got a bigger gun than you.
Hold on.
You know?
That brings up a point. A lot of groups, when they get together, they end up not coordinating or having the right equipment with them all the time. If you can spread out as long as the head and the foot, or ideally everybody, have radio.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I have my radio.
Yeah, I was about to say, you've always got radios on, and
we actually function very well that way.
That's the thing.
I do too.
We all work. Our group here, we make sure, and we kind of know these things. And so we have a common operating philosophy that usually we can coordinate pretty well. And when we don't, we just shut up and do what Shelly says. So
you practice that philosophy on a regular. That's the thing. Is for me, and I think you guys too, I know there are certain protocols we're always going to follow. And that's going to be radios on a certain channel, no matter what. And, certain people have certain things they like to do, and everybody knows it. And it's like, when you go to an area, the first thing you do is throw out a recorder. I don't care what time of day it is. Just turn it on and put it on a stomp and go about your business. Or put it in your cap with your headlamp and go about your business. There's just certain protocols I follow, no matter if I'm with somebody or I'm by myself. I'm always going to do those same things over and over because I practice. And I don't know that everybody does that, but if you're going to meet up with me, you're going to have a radio. I carry extra because I want to be able to talk to you if you do wander off.
See, that was one thing I liked, because you were the first person I ran across, really, that carried multiple radios besides me. Because I have 4, and you've got like 3 or 4 yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I have a question for y'all. Not
go ahead.
Subject, but kind of. So, when we were talking about people online and them all agreeing with each other, right? And, oh, yeah, that's great. How many times do y'all know of people that are online that are real skeptical of everything? And they're like, no, this is what happens, and wildlife does this. And say I was commenting. Say I would say, oh, no, horses do this, and they do that, and they do that, and they do that. And, kind of give out this skeptical idea of that's not Bigfoot. It's probably this. But then you go in the woods with them and it's completely, all that goes out the window. Everything is freaking Bigfoot from there on out. How many people have y'all encountered like that?
A lot.
Quite a
not
few.
not as many. Not as many who everything is Bigfoot online and in the woods. But usually my experience is the people who everything is Bigfoot all the time actually don't go in the woods very much.
Exactly.
Yeah, the ones that preach, let's have a level-headed and, let's be skeptical and examine this. You're right. Once they go out in the woods, it's all Bigfoot. And it's
the bigger the crowd.
Yep.
The bigger the crowd, the more they're into the, yep, did you hear that? Oh my God, what was that? Oh, they're here. They're here. They're here.
Yep.
Oh my
That's why we
gosh,
prefer smaller crowds.
Yep.
Yes.
Just about every group that I've been out with does that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always a failing. You don't, it used to be everybody. I go out expecting to be skunked. Skunk is the norm. There's no event happening. There's no nothing. If something happens, it's an extraordinary event. It's out of the ordinary. And
you're probably going to have more than one thing happen.
That's the first part, yes. But a lot of these people, you're right, they go out and, like we all know, these people are all sitting there, most of them are screaming at either coyotes or dogs or maybe a wolf and fox, things like that. They're hearing them out in the woods, and they're hearing them at a distance, or maybe it's muffled or something, and that's a Bigfoot. And what's worse is it's a mimicking Bigfoot.
Yes.
I love how it's,
a 500-pound owl.
Yeah.
My new favorite term I've seen on Facebook is a dark magic Sasquatch.
Yeah.
That is my new.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
From now on, if I ever hear somebody say it's mimicking, I'm going to say it's got to be one of those dark magic Sasquatch Patrick Swayze enthusiasts.
Yes, but now, in fairness, I'm glad you brought that up, but I'm not sure we can actually pursue that one because.
Do you think that dark magic Sasquatch has a wizard hat?
It probably belongs in slithering, if you ask me.
No, it has braids and a lanyard.
No.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. People, for those who aren't following and don't know, you would be very surprised the depravity that is the online Bigfoot community. People will say anything, and people will promote the most outlandish things to be
and it's the most
special.
Popular.
Yeah, to be popular, to be special, to be relevant. And unfortunately, and this is where it's hard to deal with on this show, because a lot of it goes into a very adult nature. And, you're getting Sasquatch voyeurs and molesters, things like that. And, I'm going to really let Logan take care of this on his show, Logan versus Kenny. I think they could do this more justice.
Because we all of our episodes are explicit anyway, so I will go into full detail on dark magic Sasquatch.
Yes, you will. You will. I do not want an explicit rating from Apple. I want to maintain a general good rating. So, but I don't believe in a dark magic Sasquatch. I am sorry. I just don't feel the evidence is out there. I also don't believe in a Sasquatch Lothario with horses. I just don't get it. I just don't believe the evidence is there.
But people have shown pictures. There's pictures out there, so that's evidence.
Do you know what we say to those people?
Oh, well, I know, Logan, because I say the same thing, but why don't you demonstrate what we say to those people?
That's a cool picture, man. And then you move on. Go on with your life.
And then you make sure to red circle their red circle.
Oh, what was that thing? Was it Shelly that said if someone red circles your picture, put an X through it and send it back? I'm pretty sure that was Shelly that said that.
Did we lose Shelly? She's being awfully quiet.
No, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm here. I put myself on mute for a second. No, I X out the red circle and send it back. If you send it to me in a private message and ask me my opinion and you have a red circle, I'm going to X it out and send it back and say, try harder.
I love that.
If it requires a red circle.
We're all about X's, actually, in this group here with Cryptid Connection. We like our X's.
Hey, that's not an X.
I don't like my X's.
That's not an
X.
I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, I mean, why do you need to point it out to me? I've gotten pictures where it wasn't needed a red circle, and they're still questionable, but they're really good. I mean, how is it they take pictures? We take pictures every day of wildlife that we can zoom in on a deer that you don't necessarily see, but you zoom in on it 50 yards and you know it's a deer. How is it that we have to, are they, I guess, the Patrick Swayze cloaking Bigfoot? I don't believe
Bless you. You said it. I like it.
It's a thing now. It's a thing.
Now it's a thing.
But
it's a thing. I mean, and it's just like so back to, and I think the part about people being together who we consider somewhat pretty skeptical online, and when we all get together, this mass hysteria happens to the best of the best. And people are telling each other, yeah, did you hear that? Yeah, this is what I saw. This is what I heard. And they listen to audio and all of this, and they say, that's not an owl. The best thing for you to do is to go out into the woods by yourself if you can. And that's why I do that. Because I don't have influence. And the biggest thing for me is when I'm by myself, honestly, I'm out hunting a monster, And so you can easily scare yourself. So I continually tell myself this is not what I think it is or what I want it to be.
Yeah.
This is not that. And so my mind is much more on alert and much clearer and much more rational when I don't have 10 people or 5 people around me telling me, yeah, I heard this and that is Bigfoot. When I leave those kind of groups, I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to music. I listen to audio because usually it's an audio thing. Unless you have a full-blown encounter where you're actually seeing it in the daylight experience with it pretty damn close, or you have 3 or more incidences at that same, grouping, I have to go through my mind and do my checkpoints. And I don't think a lot of people do that. I hope they do. I do. But I think a lot of people walk away thinking if they say, no, I think that was an owl, they're going to get ridiculed from their group too. And I think that's our biggest issue.
I can tell you for a fact that's what happens.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
I actually had an odd event happen. And I don't know if I ever told you about this, but I was in Sam Houston with a few people. Some of them are mutual acquaintances that you and I both know, and you and I both like, Shelly.
Okay.
And we were sitting around a campfire one night, about maybe 2 a.m. And I noticed something caught. I caught movement out in the woodline. And I swear, I never saw anything, but I saw the appearance of something, if that makes sense. I was getting impressions of movements. I was seeing shadows move, is what it was. And I watched it for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I swore there was a shadow over by a tree. It was about 10 or 15 feet into the woodline. We still had a decent little fire, so the light was penetrating out there some. And it was a brighter moon night. It wasn't, I don't think it was a full moon, but it wasn't a new moon either. There was moon, and this was January. This was right around New Year's. And so all the leaves are gone. They're down.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm watching this movement for like 5 or 10 minutes. And so I turned to this mutual friend of ours. And I'm like, look over, in this direction and tell me if you happen to see something. Because I swear I've been seeing something and I know it can't be there. But tell me if you see something move. So we wait a few minutes and he's like, yeah, I'm seeing something move. I'm like, you are? And he's like, yeah, I think I am. And I was like, okay. So we keep looking a little bit. And I was like, tell me when you see it move. And so we're watching. And all of a sudden he speaks up and says it moves. And when he said it, I had just seen something move. And we ended up going about 30 or 40 minutes where we would sit there and together we would voice 90% of the time, there it goes. It just went left. We were both seeing and picking up whatever this was. But it was silent. It looked like it was man-sized. But there was nothing other. But we both were seeing it.
Right.
After about 45 minutes, we were like, this is just too weird. Let's go on to bed. Because whatever it is staying out there. We've got cameras out and recorders out near the camp. Maybe we'll get something. We go to bed. Mm-hmm. We had a trailer out there that time, and so we all slept in the trailer. We get up the next day. A couple other people that are with us, we're telling them what we saw. And we're like, it was Assad. We don't know what it was. We both were picking up on this. And the people we were telling it to had to believe it was actual activity, that we actually had an experience. And he and I were both, we don't know what it was. It was odd. It was something. Right. But we walked out there. There's no prints. There's no nothing. We never heard rustling or anything. And so we're like, dude, it probably was just tricks of the light. That was, once we were both looking in that direction, we were picking up the same cues. And it could have been the, the wind and the shadow movement, it could have been 100 things.
Yeah.
And he's, especially this one other guy, really got irate that we would not admit that we had an experience. And,
right.
And it was just, it was really kind of eye-opening because I was like, well, we can't say we did. We're just being kind of level-headed here. And, this guy was offended.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, if that happened to me, I'd be screaming about it up and down. And I'm like, no.
And those are the people that will walk away from your group and post it online.
Yes.
With you out, without you posting it. And that drives me insane.
Yeah, they'll say, oh, so-and-so had it. Yep.
Yeah. So, it's, the more people involved, the harder it is to discern almost, what really is going on. And then also in those experiences, you need to have some kind of night vision or FLIR footage, something.
Yeah.
Or walk towards it. I don't think Bigfoot's going to rush at you. If he does, I hope there's a bunch of people behind you that are going to help you out. But I've walked towards those entities, and found out it was a stump full of sap. It's really difficult when you're dealing with a community that has no rules to the game. There are no rules in this. It's a free-for-all. And everybody wants to see it, and everybody wants to experience it. And that's what we're doing. We're trying. And it can be very hard with social media. I don't post nothing. I have all kinds of stuff happening. And if I can be sure it's some kind of wildlife, or I can prove that it was something else, I've got some really great experiences that, like calls that didn't sound like an owl, but what had happened was a long, like, ooh, almost like just a call. Huh. And what we found out after looking at the spectrograph and the audio was it was actually an owl doing multiple calls, but the echo was so great and fine that it was bouncing into one long piece of audio that we were hearing with our naked ears, but when you saw it on spectrograph, it was a whole different thing. And those are extremely important and really cool.
Yes, they are.
People don't care about that. You know, I think that is true research right there.
People don't understand. And that's something I don't think people don't really give enough credence to, because it's not a convenient thing for them. Spectrograms don't lie.
Right.
A spectrogram, now you can interpret a spectrogram incorrectly, but the data is a data. It is recording exactly what it happened to that device's capability. And a lot of people don't realize that. And human perception can make it completely different.
Mm-hmm. I think it's super fascinating because I'm an average girl with average intelligence, but I know just enough to be able to look at a spectrograph, put my stuff on a spectrograph. I can tell you I don't have to listen to the audio. I can watch the audio and go, oh, that's a nighthawk. Oh, that's a coyote, just by looking at the hertz and the peaks.
Yep.
But if I was an expert, oh my God, and I don't even, Stephen, if I get some interesting audio and I can't figure out that it's an owl or a fox or whatever, I'm going to send it off to you and two other guys and see what everybody says, because that's just not something I don't spend enough time, doing it. I mean, but then again, I don't have a bunch of Bigfoot audio either, So I don't think people appreciate those things, that the tools. There are a few tools in this game that people could be using and learning so much more. And it's so gratifying.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel so accomplished at the end of the day when we figure out something like that, where an owl that actually made its specific hoots, but it sounded like one long call, and you can look at it on spectrum. I feel so accomplished. And I don't think people appreciate that.
They don't. They can't even relate to it. That is the problem. Until they've experienced something like that, they have no way to have a common ground.
Right.
And a lot of them aren't interested in getting it. They're really not.
The biggest issue. I mean, don't you guys, each of you, don't you think that it's not that they don't have access? Because we know that those programs are free and everybody's got a computer.
But you got to work for it. You got to actually you got to sit down and put your
boots
boots
on
the ground.
It. Yeah.
There's a reward versus effort factor at play. And it is easier for me to sit down and say that that is Bigfoot than it would be for me to sit down, do the work, and come to the conclusion that that is an owl. And now in my mind, I have wasted about 30 minutes of my life listening to an owl instead of Bigfoot. I don't like that conclusion. So I'm just going to go on Facebook, say it's Bigfoot, and now I get my 5 minutes of everybody's likes and comments saying, great find, you know.
Well, I guess I'm of a different creed. I don't know. I get so much more satisfaction about debunking it.
But that comes from your background as a tracker and as somebody looking at it from an actual wildlife perspective. That's why you get that satisfaction. Mr. Weekend Warrior that goes out and he goes through the woods, he doesn't care. He's heard every animal sound ever on YouTube already. He's out there to get the strange one. Whether they'll admit it or not, it is easier for them to just say it is Bigfoot and get the fame for it and keep their name up in the air than it would be for them to go, look, guys, I spent 30 minutes listening to this. It sounded fishy at first, but I found out that it is an owl. Well, you don't get likes on that. You don't get clicks on that. You get people looking at it going, oh, he heard an owl, and they scroll past. But if you say, hey, guys, I found Bigfoot audio, you are going to get what you're looking for as far as publicity goes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're going to get a whole bunch of people that are going to want to argue with you. And I don't want to argue with anybody. I don't know about y'all. It just...
I hate arguing.
It tears me up.
Well, the truth is, I hate to say it, but most of the time when people argue, this is going to sound so bad. This is going to sound really bad. When people argue with me, I really have a hard time arguing back at stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I failed in enlightening you. Hey, you're incorrect here. There may be an alternative here or something. Who knows? And for the record, I really have told people that they have got interesting audio and I could not identify it.
Sure.
Now, I'm not going to tell you that it's Bigfoot, but I can tell you, I really don't know what that is. Can I hold on to it?
Let me pull
exactly.
Let me pull the Cliff Brackman here. What
Go
you
ahead.
found is not Bigfoot unless you saw Bigfoot do it. But
Right.
if I found it, it's Bigfoot.
No.
I'm gonna go even simpler than that. That's cute, but I'm gonna go even simpler than that. If you have to argue with somebody because they're not willing to listen to common facts you're putting straight up, then just say, you're absolutely right, and move on to somebody who does want to listen to you.
I don't need anybody to listen to me. I'm just going to place the facts out. That's the only, if I'm going to say anything, I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why it could be something else. I'm not going to say that's not Bigfoot. I'm going to say most likely you're looking at this, if I even say that. But, let's say an owl is known to do this because of, this call represents this activity. This location represents this many owls. I'm trying really hard to put a shit ton of facts. Excuse my friend. Oh, sorry.
It's
a
okay.
lot of facts out there to try to say, I'm not telling you it's not Bigfoot. I'm just saying you've got to discount everything else 100%, or you can't say it's Bigfoot. That's
I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is there's only to a certain point that you can try to tell people, hey, I think it's this because of that.
Right.
You have to walk away at some point and just let them be how they want to be.
Shelly.
And that's why I don't even comment anymore. It's like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're absolutely right. That's my new thing. I'm going to say you're absolutely right and just not argue.
To bring your point home, you remember my now infamous presentation at Footstock?
Yes.
Okay. You remember one of the first things I brought up when we were going into audio and audio examinations? We were in Sam Houston, and one of the first things I told people is you have to be able to identify what the known sounds are before you can do an unknown. And then I listed 4 pages of animals that vocalize inside Sam Houston. I don't think most people in the audience had an idea that many animals even lived in Sam Houston.
Much less, I don't think a lot of people bothered to look at that list.
Yeah. And now, also, oh God, what was I going to say? Because I just had it, and then we got sidetracked. I wanted to go back to this.
I still find it funny how many people copied your presentation and put it out themselves, but still managed to mess it up in the process.
Really?
There was a few.
There were a few.
Wow.
And they didn't get it right.
What
that was the thing that really got me. It was a compliment, but now, I never got any reference.
Here's the thing. The thing is, Stephen has, and for the foreseeable future, will be seen as someone who is overly analytical.
That's okay. That's great. That's awesome.
Is that in this field annoying to the average? No. You got to hear me out. To the average person, it is.
Yeah.
That ruins the illusion that everything is Bigfoot. If I put a Skittle in front of Steven and say it's green, he's going to sit there for 5 minutes, look, taste, smell, and put this Skittle under a microscope before he says, you know what? It's a shade of green.
That's true.
Right.
That's very true.
Therefore, when Stephen made that presentation and he put that 4-page list up there, he was being his analytical self. There is absolutely nothing wrong. That is what this community needs. The thing is, these people took his presentation, they took away the analytical nature of it and made it sugar-coated for somebody to be able to go and say anything you listen to on here is Bigfoot.
Wow.
That is what happened.
Everybody, I want to interrupt this discussion for a second. We have late-breaking news. Our mutual friend, Tanya, I don't know if she admitted it or not, or she realized she admitted it or not, but she just gave us a shout-out on our YouTube channel. She was watching that Footstock episode, evidently for the first time. And she is giving us a rave review on it. Logan, you're excellent. Great shots. And Steven had me rolling. But I want to give a shout out. If she ever hears this episode, we were recording right when you posted that, Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya.
Sweet girl.
Yeah.
Pardon the interruption. But...
Yeah, pardon the interruption, but I just got that, and I want to, we got love. I wanted to throw some back.
That's sweet. Yeah, I had a point to make about, I'm sorry if I'm over-talking. I don't mean to.
Shelly, we rely on you over-talking. It's okay.
That's not a good thing. I don't talk to very many people very often. I'm pretty...
This is a round table. Anything goes.
I know.
If I could stab somebody, I might just do it.
I don't know if that would go, though. Maybe.
Oh.
Depends on who.
Dang.
I can't remember what I was going to say, but there was another point that I'm like, it just drives me insane that people do. But yeah, one of the things is this Bigfoot has no rules. And so people are making up the rules as they go. It's just like when people tell me that Bigfoot makes structures, I'm like, who told you that? When did that? Because you've never seen anybody do. You've never seen a Bigfoot do that. So who told you Bigfoot did that? That's the other thing. What happened? Social media happened. And Bigfoot has become this supernatural cloaking, be-it-all entity that didn't do any of this stuff 50 years ago. Yep. Cut that out. Please don't put that in the... But you know what I mean? The stories aren't even that elaborate. And and going back to, I'm just going to bring it out, the horse hair braiding and all of that. Back in the day, I had someone talk about horse hair braiding, mane braiding, and I'm like, look, okay, horses do a lot of stuff. They're very social animals. And one of the things they do, other than the wind blowing that thing around, one of the things they do is in times of stress, horses, if there's a group of horses, they will lick each other's backs and necks to calm each other. And that can replicate like a twisting motion in the mane.
That can lead to witches' braids. That can lead to witches' braids.
Exactly. But also, I can never see an 8-foot hairy creature approaching equine trying to do anything to it. Anything without that thing, that animal is going to rear up. He's going to fall on his back. He's going to kick. He's going to scream. He's going to run. There would be such a commotion. And if anybody knows about horses, they would know this. That's the problem. It's like, for me, people go off on this tangent about horses being their hair braided and then other things going on. And I'm like, if you know horses, that is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it just makes zero sense, and it is a flat out lie.
Shelly,
it's made
for the
up
record,
BS.
For the record, you've raised horses, haven't you?
Yes. I've had horses all my life. I don't have a horse now. My last horse died 2 years ago. But ever since I was 7 years old, we've had horses.
Okay.
There's no way.
Well, I just want to establish that there is a recognized
correlation between me and horses and what I know.
Well, right. Yeah, you have a recognized expertise. You are not talking off the cuff. You have not just watched the Horse Channel and decided to be an expert.
Right.
And no, that's like 15, not even 15, maybe 10 minutes from my house. My aunt's ranch out in Silver Lake. That is what she does, is she boards and trains horses. You can put a horse in the stable, and that next night it will have its hair braided or something of that nature. It will come out being nappy.
And will it be disturbed? Will it be nervous or, uneasy or anything like that?
And then on top of that, if you are running at at least in East Texas, I don't know how other ranches work, but what my aunt has for her personal security system is what they call the White Mafia. She has about 5 or 6 Great Pyrenees dogs out there that will stop and kill a hog if it even thinks about coming on the farm. Now,
donkeys, they'll kill
donkeys will do the same thing. But Great Pyrenees are big dogs. They are known to be able to take down and kill coyotes, hogs, anything of that nature. And I don't. They could easily take down a human in a pack.
Yeah, they could.
I'm not going to sit here and say, because no one knows, but I mean, if I had to say it, Bigfoot might be the one thing that would have a chance against these dogs. Although it would be a legitimate fight, there is still
with
going
those
to
multiple
be,
of them.
There is going to be a commotion.
Yes.
You're going to have a commotion, and in that commotion, you are going to alert your horses, and the horses are going to get away.
This is assuming that the Bigfoot is not so intimidating that the dogs just cower and never approach it.
When they're in a pack, they're not going to cower.
Great Pyrenees do not back down in a pack.
I am aware of that. But you'd be surprised how many people aren't aware of that.
Well,
Quite
and
honestly.
then let's back up a little bit. When Logan said that the horses come out of their stalls with their hair braided, he doesn't mean, he's saying that the activity in the stall is just a natural activity where the mane gets
I'm not meaning like they have Viking hair braids that are just elegant and were done by a professional. I'm talking about you look at some hippie dude that hasn't washed his hair in 6 weeks and it's just oily as all get out, and you could sit there and have him do a headbang or something and his hair would stick onto whatever it lands on. That's what I'm talking about with these horses. That hair is going to get knotted up in a witch's knot? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's going to end up like that. All that horse has to do is flip its mane 2 or 3 times, and it's going to end up like that.
Let's all remember, horsehair, especially on the mane, is coarse.
It's super coarse.
You were going exactly where I was about to go, Stephen.
Yeah. It's gonna catch.
And when I tell people now, when you're looking at, and I'm just kind of jumping over to another subject, which has to do with hair. If you look at almost every wildlife that we can think of that would have, let's say, a 4 to 6 inch long hair, they're all brittle. They're going to break. What you're looking for when you find hair is elasticity. Primates have hair like our hair, where it's got a little bounce to it, a little elasticity to it. If you pull on that hair and it breaks, I can guarantee you it's going to be, well, I can't say that. I shouldn't say that, but let's say 99.9% of the time, it's gonna be, no wildlife, because their hair is hollow for a reason. Well, primates have elasticity in the hair. That's
right.
What I'm
the time when primate hair breaks is either if it's not healthy or if it's old.
Right.
And
it's been degraded.
So if you find a hair sample and it breaks while you're gathering it, or you're pulling out a little bit, if it proves to be very brittle, that's usually an indication of age and decay.
Yeah.
Or health.
We have an expert on human and primate decay on the radio with us. Well, on the show with us, not on the radio.
Hello. I'm a scientist.
Yes. Well,
you are actually a recognized expert in this topic.
I collected bear hair year after year at the exact same. It's a tree that bears, they return to the same place to.
They're rubbing.
Rubbing, yeah. And this one specific tree, and I have a video on it, is full of hair. It's full of it. But when I collect it, it's degraded hair. It's old, and it breaks, like you're saying. It's very fluffy and soft, but it's really cool. I mean, there's still the
talking about the root, the cortex.
Yeah, the root. Yeah,
the root.
Yes.
That's what you're looking for.
The root's still there, but still the hair breaks. When you pull it, some of it does, but yeah, I mean, like you said, horse hair is very thick and it's very coarse, and it just doesn't seem like primate hair to me at all.
My main issue with the horse, what is the rated PG way to say this when everybody talks about Bigfoot having its way with a horse? You always hear that it's not just one Bigfoot, it's two Bigfoot. One holds the head or the front of the body while the other has the rear end.
It's a 1970s disco after party.
Now, here I have two issues, and I'm going to lead this as two issues and then something that would actually impress me and make me question whether or not this happened. My first issue, that horse can still kick whatever is behind it if you're holding the front.
No matter what it is.
The average weight of a full-grown horse is somewhere around 2,000 pounds, plus or minus. Right. You don't think a 2,000-pound horse is going to throw anything holding on to it around unless you're holding that thing down with a backhoe or an excavator. It's going to be throwing you around. That doesn't seem like a really fun time. Now, you always hear about the witch's knots are a result of the whatever Bigfoot is holding the head or the neck, and they're playing with the mane while the animal. Why is this 2,000-pound horse allowing them to hold on to that hair? I'm sorry, but this animal is now in fear for its life because two giant river monkeys are trying to have its way with them. That thing's going to rip the hair out trying to get away. Here is my problem. I am not impressed by witch knots. I know what those are. They're bullcrap. I would be more impressed if you came up to me and showed me where the hair was ripped out of that horse.
Right. Let me ask this. I'm going to go a step further. And I'm going to put it in very,
I can bleep out anything, so don't worry. It's okay.
Okay. So, if you got two Bigfoot who are searching down an animal like a horse to have its way with, why aren't they just having their way with each other? They're fighting with a horse.
I've always thought that same thing, Shelly. Why bother with a horse?
Are we asking about
why
if
not
there
a
are...
goat or...
Why not something a little more manageable?
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh.
Now, maybe Bigfoot has a size fetish. Baby's got back.
But think about it like this. Humans.
So ridiculous. I'm sorry. I don't mean to
Let's
humans
go nasty, okay?
We're not.
Okay.
We're not. We are. No, we're not. We're keeping this on a level, and it's good.
I'm sorry, Jen. I don't mean to.
From a mental health standpoint, there are people, just regular everyday people. I say regular everyday because they shouldn't be like this. That do have
relations.
They have relations with animals.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're talking about a human versus something we can't prove is human, part human, or pure animal.
But same thing applies. If being Bigfoot,
it doesn't.
Yeah, if being Bigfoot is somehow related to humans in the primate chain, if it has a cognitive being, it may or may not be under that same influence.
Okay, I'm going to bed. Good night.
No, Jen, in. Don't leave. They're not going to keep this in.
No,
you
we're
can't.
not.
But you can't make assumptions that that's what they are. That's what the people that are saying.
Anybody
Bigfoot
doing
do
Bigfoot
that.
is making an assumption.
I know, but
You
we're
can't
not.
throw.
I don't.
Yes, you are. You can't throw that out
Why not? I don't say that Bigfoot
because that
is
makes
human.
you know better than the normal person. You should be able to take that into account. If Bigfoot runs down the line, there's no proof of Bigfoot. There's stories, but there's no proof.
Well, yeah, but you can. What
There's
I can tell you is,
circumstantial proof of Bigfoot.
hey, if Bigfoot was human, then why didn't he evolve like we did?
Well, that's a good question. Go find him.
I don't believe Bigfoot is human.
I don't either. I think he does exactly the same thing as all living things on this earth. He eats, sleeps, mates, and dies.
I think he has really cool dance moves and makes movies.
Maybe if your name is Daryl.
There you go. There you go.
Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl the Bigfoot. He's the one that does the disco dancing.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's the commercial guy.
I still like Patrick. Patrick is... I'm forever now going to be looking for Patrick in the woods. And anytime anyone says they... Patrick Swayze. I'm telling you. We have all... I think Logan's onto something. We have all been looking for the wrong thing.
Well, Patrick Swayze was super good looking.
I can point you in the direction about 4 or 5 horses that thought he was good looking too.
Oh, stop it. Hey, never mind. I'm not even going to go there.
Just for the record, Tanya's going through our videos because she now just hit the Hanobia video, Logan.
Is she commenting on YouTube?
She's commenting on YouTube.
Looking at what videos is she looking at?
She's looking at
Crypto?
the Logan versus everyone videos.
Okay. She got to look at the first one. That's the best one.
That's one. That's it. The Hanobia video.
That
you gotta remember
made me laugh so hard.
The one that we did at
Y'all
Footstock
need to post
with
that
you.
again.
That was like the 3rd or the 4th one.
You're right, Shelly. We should repost that.
The Hanobia video?
All of them.
Yes.
I already
She's right.
reposted
We need to start
the Hanobia.
reposting them. Good.
I reposted. Okay, so here's the thing. I, being me, am not really welcomed in a lot of groups anymore openly because I've used logic and that pisses people off. But I have. I don't know if anybody paid attention. I know Stephen and Jen did. I don't even know if we're still recording.
We are.
The beginning of this week was the 1-year anniversary of Logan versus Everyone, the show.
I saw that.
That was me reposting the Hanobia episode, which was the first ever episode. I posted it in a few groups, but I didn't post it in a lot, and I posted it on my own page. But I have reposted that one. When it gets closer to Jefferson, I'm going to repost the Jefferson episode. When I repost the Jefferson episode, maybe a week or 2 after it, I'm going to repost the Footstock episode. I currently am still brainstorming and coming up with ideas for my next episode, which is going to be over Jefferson again. And it's probably going to be Jefferson mixed in with the Halloween Bash, the Falcon Monster Halloween Bash. I'm probably going to mix those two up. But after I went to Applebee's and then started coming home to get on this podcast, I had a brainstorm. And I said, this next episode is going to be my, hey, we've been doing this for a year episode. And I'm going to have an 8-minute long intro to that. And my goal is by the end of that 8-minute intro, everybody's going to quit watching it. And then only the people that have stuck around for that year are going to make it through that.
So you're going to try to upset everybody with the first 8-minute intro.
I can tell you right now what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through my old episodes. I'm going to cut out footage and I'm going to put it on there. And I'm going to have literally just a relapse of the last year. And that's all I'm going to do. And I've picked out a song, and the only reason it's going to come out to like 8 or 6 minutes long is because the song is 8 or 6 minutes long. But I like the song, and that's how I make my show. I base the show off of music. I have a theme for every episode. The theme for the Jefferson episode is going to be change.
Wait a minute. Change?
Change.
And what music are you using?
I can't tell you because that ruins it, but I want to
have to wait and see.
I want to make you cry, Steven.
Are you going to play the Beatles?
No, God, no. Beatles are copyright. But we need change because we deserve better, and you know it.
Now,
good luck.
That slogan's been used before.
Yeah, but it's been used by Logan because he's trying to be the Cryptid King.
Right, but it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does. That's why it's my slogan.
If we don't have a little bit of change or give in the community, then how are we ever going to validate anything that we are trying to scientifically prove? All it becomes is a joke to people.
You know how you validate it?
It's an ongoing theme.
You know how you validate it?
Unfortunately.
You bring evidence. You present documented evidence.
Yeah, that's the only way. That's it. Until documented evidence is presented, there will not be change. And so for me, that's why I don't even talk anymore online about Bigfoot, is because it's a battle that's never gonna end until we have proof, like Steven says. We're gonna have to have a body, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's
Agreed.
Exactly what it's going to take.
And you can't just have, if you get a head, that would be great. But if you get a hand or a foot, I still don't think they're going to even call it Bigfoot. I think they're going to call it something else, but I don't think they're going to call it Bigfoot.
Depends on the anatomy.
You need the whole body.
Yep.
I don't know.
The anatomy and the DNA breakdown.
Thought.
You'll know when they run the genome.
Yeah.
That's what they'd really break it down. They'd have to run the genome.
Yeah.
But you're right. If it's just a hand or if it's just a foot, they very well may just say it's an offshoot of human.
Yeah.
You would have to have the whole body to be able to say, this probably isn't human. This is something different.
I think they need the head, more importantly than anything else. But
yeah,
I don't know. And that's what I tell people when they start asking me about DNA, and I'm like, look, I don't know. I can tell you all the things I've heard, but that don't mean diddly squat. All I can tell you is how to collect evidence correctly. That's all.
Yep.
Don't ask me, but here's some people you can talk to. But yeah, y'all should look it up. I think they're still around.
If it's all woo, why the heck do I want to go to it?
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
You still have to keep in mind, as a researcher, if you want to call yourself a researcher, if you do not at least look at the other side of the aisle, you cannot make a fair assessment. If you're looking at the aisle and you have the right side that says flesh and blood animal, and then you have the left side of the aisle and they say Patrick Swayze, if you do not at least go and look at the left side of the aisle, you cannot say that you have thoroughly looked into this topic. I'm not saying you have to stay in the middle. I'm not saying that you have to stay to either side. But if you cannot look at both sides and come up with your own conclusion, then you are not doing the work.
Or if you don't look at both sides, how are you going to be able to create a valid argument against one of the sides?
You're not. You completely implode any argument you have if you are not willing to look. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, look, a lot of the woo stuff that I see is outrageous. It is completely crap. There is no validity to it whatsoever. But did I still look at it with an open mind and give it a chance? Yes.
Well, of course.
No, I look at facts.
You can look at facts all day long, but if you only look at one side and not the other,
facts, but they don't have any facts.
They don't.
You've got to remember.
I never said you had to agree.
I started at what you're, when people came and said Bigfoot does this, Bigfoot, I'm like, really? Let me look at that. I've moved on. Give me a fact. Tell me why it's a fact. Show me the facts. That's all I need. It doesn't matter whose side it's on, as long as it's a fact. That's all I can, that's where I'm at.
But what about the education factor, Shelly? If you're able to show them where they're wrong in an argument that does not produce malice, wouldn't that be something to help them to create a scientifically minded person?
Well, I get what you're saying, but that isn't where I'm at anymore. You know what I mean? I'm not interested in proving anybody wrong.
Okay.
Shelly is at a point where she is the Catholic priest instead of the traveling minister. People can come to her. She's going to stay on the side that she's on, and people can come to her and voice her opinion, and she can tell them they are full of crap. But she's not going to go to their side.
Now, in all fairness, Shelly's not the only one in this position here.
No, you are too.
But I'm never going to tell somebody they're full of crap unless they can't. They want, number one, you show me where I can't tell you you're full of crap. I don't need to tell you you're full of crap. It doesn't matter what I think. That has nothing to do with anything what I think. It's what can I prove? That's all. What can you prove to me? That's where, but you've got to also understand, I don't intermix any other cryptid stuff. Like I don't look into I don't look into other cryptids. I don't look into spiritual, demon. I don't look into anything like that. I don't look into alien. I don't look at all that. I look at wildlife behavior, and I look at an entity that's a flesh and blood animal, because we don't have proof of any other entity like that isn't flesh and blood. I can believe in aliens. I can't prove aliens. I'm pretty sure there are aliens, but I can guarantee they're flesh and blood. Alien flesh and blood. They're not a dimensional entity, in my opinion, at this point. There is no proof of that. Is it possible? Well, sure, but until I don't have the mental capacity to gather in all that stuff, because it's not needed. At this moment in time, and where we're at in technology, and where most Bigfooters are, and where science is, all I need is facts right now. Maybe in 100 years, we can talk about cloaking. There may be that kind of thing going on, but as of today, we can't even understand that and prove it at the same time. I'm not about that.
Right, but I guess
it's that complicated.
I guess where I'm coming from is, let's take their assumption of it's being cloaked into, well, what if they're just covered in mud and they blend in well? That's creating a fact versus a mythical aspect of the creature.
Different than what a lot of them
Well,
are
of course. I mean,
posting.
there's camouflage, and that's, all wildlife has its form of camouflage specifically for survival. And yes, I totally agree with that. But
if you take the argument, here's where I'm coming from. If I came to you and said Bigfoot was cloaking, you will instantly dismiss me. But if I came to you and I said if I came to you and said Bigfoot was cloaking, you would instantly dismiss me. But if you would take the time, if you would take the time to ask them, Logan, what do you mean by cloaking? If you asked them and they said it was covered in mud, they
never say that. They never say that because
But that doesn't matter because that one person out of 100 could change the entire game plan.
Sure, then it won't be through me.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting.
But this is the thing. You've got to also understand that I've stood and listened to people who've cornered me that done exactly what you're talking about. And what do? I don't say a word. I listen to what they have to say. And then when they're done, I ask them those questions. And it's never what you're saying. That's what, verbiage in general, what we're saying is when he says cloaking, he might mean covered in mud. I've tried all that, Logan. We're talking years back in the very beginning, and it drove me crazy. And now I just listen and I'm polite. And I don't give my opinion because when they ask my opinion, I pretty much say I'm not qualified to answer you because I don't know. And that's the truth.
But now you do.
I am not qualified.
You just tell them Patrick Swayze.
Okay. But I mean, I'm at that point where it's too much for me. There's no, I've gotten to where I have to weed out a bunch of stuff for myself. And that's kind of on the same line of why I like to go out by myself because I don't need the influence from outsiders. I need the influence from the species itself.
Yep.
I want to see what the species has to offer, not what anybody says to me, because a story is a story is a story. My story means shit. And that was the other thing I was going to ask you guys. When you hear a story, or say it comes from one of your buddies, do you question them like you would everybody else?
Yeah.
Or do you make the assumption that because you know them, that you're taking their story as 100% because you know how well they document or not? Because I try to treat everybody exactly the same. It's hard.
If you are my friend and you have a Bigfoot story or you have an encounter, I will judge you twice as hard as I would anybody else.
That's great.
Because if I am going to put my friendship on the line with you, or if I'm going to have somebody associate with me with you, I want you to be credible. I want you to be 100% honest. If I ever get a whiff of you lying about something, I am going to make it known that you are full of crap. Therefore, I'm going to examine everything about that story more than I would just somebody off the street.
Right. That's the way I feel.
Does.
I did. But and I would never get upset if someone told me that they didn't believe my story. I would be like, I don't want you to believe it. I mean, I want you to question everything, and maybe you will. So, Logan, for me, when you say that listening to other people's opinions, like the woo, and maybe gathering some new information, I do exactly that when someone can listen to a story or an audio or my story and say, you know what, have you thought that it could be this, something that we know it could be, some weird audio or something. That's when I get excited because I learned something.
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying, but when it comes to those people that we've dealt with and we are bashed about. I don't dislike them. I don't really care. It just is what it is. I can't stop them. It's their prerogative to believe what they want to believe, but I don't have time for it. Unless they got something legit and good. I'll listen to their story. I'm sure, don't we all just listen to the story and then make our assessment, right?
Well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. But you are supposed to be able to analyze while you listen.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lady. She's super nice and super great. I really like her as a person. But she's a big-time glyph person. So I don't say anything. I just listen. And I've asked her questions, and she didn't have anything other than, well, that's what Bigfoot's known to do. So,
I remember when glyphs started becoming a big thing, and I'm not going to say any names because you don't need to say names in this whatever.
Right.
This isn't my show, so I'm not going to do it. But I went out with a certain group of people, and there was a very well-known researcher, and he is one of my friends and everything. He's a great person. He was really into glyphs. He went out with me and about 1, 2, 3, I think it was 3 other people, so 4 including me. And we started talking about these glyphs. Then we come back, and then my friends that came out with me started posting about glyphs in their groups. And then from there, these glyphs gained a foothold. And then a certain person actually around that time made a new group. They started that group with glyphs there. It spread from there, and now glyphs have become, if you want to call it mainstream, they have become a mainstream idea.
They became mainstream when a certain gentleman from Washington brought them in because of his research on writing his books.
But they've been around for a while, but in the Texas scene, they did not really pick up.
Sure.
They did not pick up in the Texas scene until sometime either towards the end of last year or the beginning of this year. Now, did I listen and did I look at all of this stuff they were bringing up about glyphs? Yes. Do I agree with what they say about the glyphs? No, I do not agree. But in the case that I ever need to have a counter argument against the glyphs, I understand how they are supposed to work. I understand what people are looking at. Therefore, I can have an intelligent conversation against somebody if they want to bring that up in a dialogue.
Right. They're an ancient form
Sumerian
of communication.
Yeah. That is the language that everybody... There's actually 2 different languages. The only one that I've ever actually paid attention to, however, is the ancient Sumerian.
Right. Yeah. So let me ask this. How many of you guys believed so much when you first got into it, and now you whittled it down to stuff you wiped out some stuff you didn't believe, you've now decided isn't anything?
Oh, well, that's when I got into this, everything was a tree structure. Now, glyphs weren't a thing at least down here, glyphs were not a thing. Right. But I've been doing this for like 3 years now. So I haven't been in it long. I've been doing it for 3 or 4 years. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's 3. When I first started, every time somebody would tell me that sound was a Bigfoot, oh man, that must have been a Bigfoot. Every time somebody would say, look at that structure, oh man, that's a really cool Bigfoot structure. After time, and it all depends on who you stick around, it depends who will actually take the time to analyze, you begin to change your vision of what can or can't be Bigfoot activity. I go through the woods now, it's no longer a structure. I can see where that limb fell. I can see where that limb fell. I can see how this happened.
Sure.
I can hear an animal now, and thanks to you, Shelly, I can recognize these animals now. I know how to listen for certain animals. I know how to get an owl to respond. I know how to do all of that. I know how to track. I hang around people that are good trackers. I hang around you. I hang around Jeremy Gibson, Javier Torres, people like that. I can do my basic tracking to the point where I can say that is not a Bigfoot impression. That is just some animal made that, you know.
Mm-hmm. We're Stephen and Jen.
I still do not believe in Bigfoot. I don't have a reason to. I've had odd occurrences, but that's all I could cite them up to. Is just an interesting occasion in the woods. But I've grown up in the woods, and I still have never had that face-to-face experience that I believe would make me a believer.
That's good.
All right. I came from old school back in the 90s. That was when I first got involved. And I got involved in the Northwest. And I had a very old school John Green, Renee DeHenden background.
That's so good.
Then I got out of it when I moved to Texas because there were no Bigfoot in Texas. There was no Bigfoot east of the Rockies. And anyone who thought they were was on crack. Maybe meth.
Most likely meth.
Probably. And I went that way from 2000 to about 2015. And I got sucked in, bored, and discovered podcasts. And like everybody else, I found Wes and Saskron. And I found early Wes. I discovered him when we were at like episode 70, 60, something like that.
I knew Wes before he started his podcast. Well, I mean, before it even got anywhere. Probably about the same time you did, but that was because I had my show.
Well, you were up, yeah. Anyway, I got sucked in by Wes, and I was listening to Wes, which got me interested back into Bigfoot again. And then I started hearing these encounter reports on him about Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma. And that got me started back up in here because I knew everybody out here was BS. And I knew they were hoaxing or they were doing whatever. It was all bad. And, about 2015. And that ended up, everyone who knows me knows my history. I mean, my baptism back into Bigfoot was being held up by the government for 3.5 hours. So, I mean, there was that was my welcome back to Bigfoot. And so, for a little while there, I started thinking maybe there was something. Bigfoot had really changed from when I left it back in 2000 all the way up to 15. And I was thinking, maybe we've made progress. Maybe there's some more stuff we haven't. And so I stuck around and I started digging in deeper and getting into it. And now I've come back to, I'm pretty much where I was when I left Washington. I think there may be something out there. Yeah, but that's what I'm forced to. There may very well be something to it. I can't tell you 100%. I know the encounter experience that I personally had that got me started on the whole thing, but I can't tell you 100% what that was. It's the whole point. I want to know.
I always thought that when Bigfoot, when the internet met insanity, Bigfoot went to heck.
Oh, yes. I can tell you right now, Bigfoot, I remember Bigfoot on the internet in the 90s, on AOL, on Yahoo. The old Yahoo groups
forum.
And everything. The forum. I remember that. I was part of that. And then I stopped it around 2000. And when I got back onto the internet in 15, as far as Bigfoot's concerned, it had all started moving to Facebook. And my goodness. You talk about a world of difference.
Finding Bigfoot? Remember that?
I do believe I do, yes.
That was where all the major news, and then what was it? Bigfoot Evidence blog was really good. You know, there was crap stories, but there were also the latest and greatest.
Yeah, there was good and the bad, and there always has been. There has always been good and bad mixed in together, and it's always been kind of a personal call as to how you sift through them and you know, separate them out. But oh my goodness,
Bigfoot was like us. He learned how to use social media to gain popularity, you know.
Yeah.
And
Logan?
increase his skills.
Logan? Tanya's still loving on you.
Is she?
Yeah. Y'all, we gotta wrap this one up for tonight. I want to thank y'all for coming on.
Well, thanks for letting me rant.
Of course, anytime.
Sorry.
No.
We like rants.
We love it when you rant. We're one of the few people in the world that actually like your rants. Okay? I mean, it's all right.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize. All right, you two. Logan, Shelly, y'all have anything final to say before I cut your recording?
Bigfoot's always last.
Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real? All right.
But that dog is.
But dogs are.
Yes, dogs are. We got to go rescue the dog.
Okay.
All right.
Night.
We will see y'all later.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Guests of Cryptid Connection are all members of the Cryptid Connection website. Join the community, a safe, secure, and private place for all your paranormal and cryptid pursuits.
Every cowboy, he always misses when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his idle hands grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about running, and I'll get out on the town just for myself. And that's when I saw her, and she looked right through me. And when I said I do that day, I really do. 'Cause every cowboy, he always misses his shot when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his idle hands grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about riding, and when I get the first draft back with no red ink, but I've been thinking to do my best work. Yeah, I've gotta leave this town to find my way. And when that plane touched down on that island town, I knew that my life's work was in their hands. So I started digging for wells of water, and I'm a hero in their eyes. It's clear to see. 'Cause every cowboy, he always misses his shot when he's aiming at the target about the time that I have wasted sitting here. 'Cause I've been thinking that all this thinking is the thing that keeps me further from myself.
The music and soundtrack for the opening is from Epic Film Score by Alex Kaskin. The closing credits are Every Cowboy by Cellophane Sam.